Well, hey everybody, it's Apostle Ashley, and I thought I'd start a whole new thing. Why not? Mentorship moments, pop-ups. There are so many questions that I am asked over and over again throughout this journey of leadership, apostleship, all the ships, and so many questions that people have about how do you get it done? How did you go to school? How do you still get it done? Ministry and all the things. And so I wanted to share some wisdom with you. If you have any questions, you can post your questions because I want to know and answer them, maybe live right here online, about mentoring and how to achieve big things. So first, let me start with a little backstory. I've been with Dr. Price's ministry for 24 years. I met her when I was in college through Prophet Tala. We were in school together, just trying to survive, people. Just trying to survive, okay? And so while in college, I became praise and worship leader, and we were on the intercessor. I'm trying to think the timeline. And then we were on the intercessor squad. So an intercession at that time was weekly prayer with Dr. Price. Listen, you have not prayed until you can pray with Dr. Paula Ann Price, okay? It's just the truth. She is a top tier warrior par excellence. And so we learned how to pray and praise and pray and praise. Now, at that time, we were in school. We were all, a lot of us were at ORU. We had full-time class load. We had part-time work schedules, at least part-time work schedules, homework. We were in the theater, so we were in the arts. And when you're in the theater and you audition for shows, guess what? You have to be in those shows, which is line memorization, or if you're working backstage at rehearsals backstage each night, X amount of nights during the week, what does that add up to? Not a lot of free time. And so we learned at that time how to do a lot with a little. We were in our 20s. We did not attend school with Dr. Price until after ORU. She said, no, you're not going to be able to do both because my school is hard. And she wasn't lying. And so we graduated from ORU, and then we started in, at the time, was Everlasting Life Bible and Prophets Institute. Now it's Price University, but it was Everlasting Life Bible and Prophets Institute. Dr. Price was our teacher. Do you know what it is when the author and founder of the institution is your teacher? It doesn't matter how many people are in your class. It doesn't matter how much tech you do or don't have. That author is the you will ever have. So if those of you who are, whether you're at Price U, you go to the Congregation of the Mighty, or you go somewhere else, imagine the founder being your professor. Green juice. Okay, I need it. Imagine that. So that's a whole different learning experience when the founder, the chancellor, is your professor. Dr. Paula Ann Price did not accept late homework. Not 1 minute, not 1 day, not 1 hour. If you came to class late with an assignment, she threw it in the trash. in front of you. Yes, she did. And you know why she did that? Because she said, a late prophet is a prophet God can't count on. And if you're late with your homework, you're going to be late with your assignments for the Lord. People's lives are depending on you being on time. That your word must be on time. Your promises must be on time. So that's the first lesson we learned. Now, we all had full-time jobs, some for the ministry, some not for the ministry, full-time, overtime. We were in prophetic training. We were in leadership training as well, concurrently. And at that time, Dr. Price taught leadership every Sunday after church. There was not a 3-hour window like when we had leadership training here, as far as the whole church and Soul Sunday, where you had about a 3-hour window between service, and then we came back and we did no. It was after church. We went to lunch, usually at a restaurant, because we didn't, I'm trying to think where we were. Sometimes we had a building, sometimes we didn't. And we would have lunch and training assignments every single week. So we graduated leadership and prophet school at the same time, every single Sunday. Yes, Marcia, every Sunday after church. Because you know why? The test was, do we care about the Lord's house? Or are we ready to drop it out of our heads as soon as we can and run out the door? Plus, honestly, Sunday afternoon was the only day all of us were available, because most of us worked outside of the ministry. We had leaders that were married, they had children. There was those of us who were single, various ages, and that process began to weed people out. Why am I telling you this? Because this is a part of our journey, and this is a part of what made us who we are today. Anything outside of the Christian context, the church context, we expect high standards for high things. When it comes to the body of Christ, we're not quite sure. And so the question has come to me several times in these last couple of months. How did you all do it? How did you all do it? No, we've shared it in pieces. So I'm going to talk about my piece of this journey and what I have learned. That's why this is a mentorship moment, to hopefully mentor you. I'm going to run down a list of things that will hopefully feed some wisdom into you if you're struggling with this. I don't care what your job is, what your assignment is. This is not limited to the ministry field, the church context. It's whatever you are called to. I will say that I have seen the most opposition to high standards in church, because people have been conditioned to believe that it simply doesn't take all that in Jesus Christ. Now, we've seen a lot of ministries slide off because of that mentality. So here we go. And again, if you have questions, post them online and I will see what I can do to get to them. Are you ready? I hope so. All right. This is very exciting. Very exciting. I just want to say I cried a lot of tears over these years of growing up. A lot of tears. A lot of tears on the floor, in the shower. Shower is a good place to cry. Water's already running all over the place. Tears just running. Okay. So here we go. When you study, for example, I'm a worship leader, so I've done vocal. I have not been a vocal coach, but I've had vocal coaches over the years. And one of them that I follow online, that have not met in person, but have followed online, believes, and I believe this is true, that 90% of achieving high notes and singing in general is in your head. Because if you psych yourself out before you get started, you won't hit the note. How do you know? Because when we're goofing around and we're playing vocally acrobatics all over the place, high, low, just not even thinking about it. And then when you think about it, it's like, oh, I can't hit that note. It's too high. Well, you just hit a note higher than that. So how can you say that it's too high when you just hit a note higher when you weren't thinking? And so that is something to consider when you're trying to accomplish high level things. You can't psych yourself out. Scripture talks a lot about mental warfare, what you should be meditating on. Think on these things, whatsoever things are pure, lovely. Think on these things. What you think in your heart, that's who you are. As you think, so you are. So understanding, scripturally speaking, what goes on up here, Dr. Price taught us years ago, thought talk. Your thought talk determines the most about what you will and will not achieve. That's why people who are just average, mediocre, will be like number one. And what do we say? How do they get to be number one? You know why? They believe they should be. They believed it, and they didn't let anything stand in their way. And so there we go. That's the first thing. You need to serve under somebody great if you want to be great. And when I say serve, I mean serve, not stand with in pictures. Yay, I'm with them. Not just show up whenever they're speaking and do all those things. I mean serve, as in humble yourself and serve them, whether it's corporate level, Christian level. Where are the places where you can volunteer? Yes, volunteer and not get paid. Yes, somewhere giving of yourself freely in order to learn. Because I promise you, the greatest things are taught usually behind the scenes. For people, you can ask our volunteers here, how much conversation do we have at the front desk with them? I know I do. How many times am I checking in their office, in their station? That's where the richness happens. People think it's favoritism. Oh, so and so is just your favorite. Well, so and so is actually always around. So, yeah, they have found favor because they have put themselves in a favorable position. Why does Dr. Price call certain people's names from the pulpit all the time and others not at all? Because those are the people that she sees up here volunteering, helping. It could just be maybe during events, special occasions. It doesn't have to be all the time, but that's how that happens. So putting yourself in a servanthood posture also is very humbling, and it blows that ego down, bless God, because I tell you what, your ego can be the biggest reason you won't humble yourself. So there's that. Be honest with yourself. When you're stuck somewhere, you have to be honest with you. Are you stuck because in your heart you feel it's absolutely unreasonable that anybody is asking you to do this or telling you? Doesn't my boss understand I have a life? Doesn't my boss understand that I just blah 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 blah? Don't that so and so know that I'm not here for the whatever? That can be a big blockade. Your ego can be the biggest reason you don't advance, because you don't feel like it should take all that. You don't want to break. You don't want to be humble. Too much of you. If your excuses start with and I just feel it, I just don't believe it. Oh my goodness, and how can I be? Then that's where you're going to be, by yourself. You, yourself, and you, and probably very little money to show for it. And you're going to be doing all this work, spinning your wheels, because you won't sit down and be honest with you. You might think your boss is being unreasonable. Get it out, get it off of your chest in the prayer closet and move on. Because whether they are or are not, that's the road to greatness. The road to greatness is not easy. I don't care what road you're taking. It is not easy and it is not quick. Now, the road to success might seem fast depending on what industry, and now we have social media and whatever. But even when you look at that, let's just take influencers. Influencing is a full-time job for these people. Like, you look like, hey, all they do is take selfies. These people are publishing, posting, creating content, setting up scenes, traveling around. It's a lot of work to look like you're not working. I want to just say that. Okay, so be honest with you. Number 3, communication. You must communicate. First of all, you have to make sure you're receiving communications properly. And then you have to make sure that you are communicating properly. Sometimes you'll think you're communicating something. Anybody ever know somebody who is like, they're always surprised that people don't get them? It's like, but you're not communicating clearly. Or there's always a misunderstanding somewhere. Like if you are in school, you have a professor who you're like, they never understand me. Maybe you're actually not speaking clearly or communicating, emailing, whatever, clearly, to where there's always this issue. And especially if it's mostly you that's having this issue, it might be from within. Number 4, plan, plan, plan with a strategy. Now, some people will say, Apostle Ashley, I do plan. I plan all the time, and no matter what, it just doesn't seem to work. Then I would venture to say, having not looked at your plans or your life, I'm just saying from this moment, there is a flaw in your planning. There's a flaw in your strategy. There's something that you're not taking into account, or going back to number 2, you're not being honest with yourself, your life. So for example, you don't want to stay up on Tuesday and Wednesday night. You don't want to do homework after church on Wednesday. You don't want to do homework after intercessors training on Thursday. So you wait until Saturday, and Saturday is not enough time. So you'll say, I don't have enough time to do this, when in fact the truth is you did not want to devote the time in the hours of the night or the middle of the night to do it. So there's the flaw. Sometimes you have to stack and redirect certain things in order to optimize the hours that you have in a week or in a day. I have calendars everywhere. Anybody who knows me, I have so many calendars for everything. And sometimes, let me see here. Do I have anything within reach? Oh, where did I put it? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. How about it's right in front of me? I have that, and well, you can't really see over here. I have a bulletin board well, you can kind of see it. Put a bulletin board up in my office, and we're editing the 30 days of services. This is the product development chart. I have the weekly media schedule posted. I have the children's church teachers schedules posted. I'm going to post, what else am I going to post? Oh, the curriculum schedule for the children's ministry. I am working on the executive attendant training. This can be a shameless plug for that. If you are somebody who needs help administratively, talk to me, message me, post here, and I'm offering my training at a ridiculous discount. Ridiculous discount, like $25 a session. That's ridiculous. But I believe in you, okay? And so I have that going on there. And I have things at home. I have a desk that I work at. I prefer not to have workstations in my personal space, but guess what? I have work to do in my personal space. And I find I get it done when I have a workstation. And it's very pretty. It's very nice, but it's still a workstation. So plan with strategy. Now, let's talk. You see all these books behind me. A lot of these books are administrative strategy. They are other people's wisdom that I am learning from. So I say this to say, you don't know everything. I don't know everything. Everybody collectively knows just about everything when you're talking about a field. YouTube has amazing free resources on this. I've studied, for example, executive assistants to movie producers, directors, other people who are very demanding, because my boss has a demanding job. You notice how I didn't say my boss is demanding, although she is. She has a demanding position. CEO is a demanding position. Chancellor of a university is a demanding position. Okay? So the demands on her are then sent to me because the position is demanding. As long as you make it about a person and their personality and their attitude, then you miss the point. But when you make it about their position, so rolling it over, whatever position you have in life, I'm looking at some of the people online, see a lot of entrepreneurs who are on right now. The position is demanding. That's where your demands are coming from, the position. I know we have people who are in our university going to school to be an apostle or a prophet. These are demanding offices. So the workload is demanding to prepare you to be successful for the demands that you will meet when you are in office. And I say this about, and we say this about any institution you're in. If you are failing in school, you will fail in the job. Now, I'm not talking about, the exemptions are, of course, terrible teachers and faulty institutions and all that, notwithstanding, those who are upright in what they're doing, if you're struggling now, you will fail later. And that failure might not show up for another 10, 15 years, maybe 5, but it will show up. So plan, and have a strategy. Sit down, map everything out. I love Post-it notes, stick-it notes, any notes. I have this thing. It says notes. It says notes. And you know what's on here? Monthly church. I scratch it off. Children's church songs. I went to Mardell yesterday because I want our kids to learn the staple praise and worship songs that every kid should know, that we grew up learning in the denominations and whatever. I went there because I wanted to buy some CDs for them to have their own praise and worship when they go to church, to children's church from big church. And that's what I did. But I wrote a note. I have to sneeze to make sure it happens. Now that I said it, I don't have to sneeze. Lord help me. Okay. And so notes. So what I do is, and trust me, Rachel is my assistant. She will come in this office and who knows what it looks like sometimes. Because I'll have, all right, my notes here, color-coded Post-its, things all over the place. I have it printed, 10,000 copies of something, working it out. And we'll say, okay, this is what I need to do for the event. This is what I need to do for the children's church. This is what I need to do for youth group. This is what I need to do for the new podcast. This is what I need to do for, you see the point. Okay, the list goes on and on. And so I have different lists for different things. And then I'll sit down and I'll say, okay, this is my schedule. Oh, let me not forget about the advisements. So based on my advisement schedule is hours of availability during the day. And then I'll say, well, this day I need to come into work an hour early to knock out all this basic administration, because I know my day is going to be interrupted. Please, you cannot be an apostle and not know it. But you know what? You just have to accept it. And so let me do that. And then my day is smooth. And even if I have to stay a little late, it's not because things have blown up all over the place. When I don't do that, I regret it. And then I begin to funnel into a calendar. I separate calendars out from my personal ministry development stuff from work, or else I'll just be crazy. And then color coding. I have amazing, these colorful pens. This is a whole bunch of them. I got different colors because I love color code. You're not going to be an administrator if you don't love color coding. Color codation is great. Dividers I have over here, which you can't see, and I'm not going to show you. File folders stacked up on the rack. I have drawer things here for files and books and whatnot. Binders go down here and whatever. And I set it up so I can be successful. Not comfortable. Well, I'm comfortable in success. How about that? But successful in that. Yes, I love this. Plan for interruptions. Absolutely. Plan for interruptions and accept that they're going to happen. 10 people are going to knock on my door in an hour, the hour I need to get everything done. That's why I come in early, before people are here or when only a few people are here. Yes, absolutely. And you understand how that goes. The next thing is, which I just kind of talked about, but read books, watch videos about people who are successful, whether it's in your field or other fields. I spent hours, especially when I was younger coming up in this, hours watching, what was that show called? Man, I can't remember the show. A couple of shows that were always about people's life stories, successful people. And the pattern was the same. Somewhere they lost everything, or they started with nothing, sleeping in their cars, sleeping in mattresses, about to go get a job, quit the industry, quit the business, and boom, here comes the opportunity of a lifetime that changed what they are. Or they took an opportunity that they didn't think would be anything, and it turned out to be the thing. But I watch those stories because it helps take the fantasy out of your eyes, the stars in your eyes, the rose-colored glasses, as we talk about. Watching other people's story keeps me grounded, because I'm like, well, yeah, but so-and-so had to, and thus and what had to, and they still have to. I watch it, look at these people out here. You're talking about families, kids, pets, multiple. I have friends of mine, 3, 4 kids, full-blown ministry, 3 services on Sunday, side hustle businesses, sports for their children. I'm like, how in the world? And they don't have nannies coming out of their ears. These are not people who are hiring all these people to do the work for them. They're doing it themselves. And they're like, hey, it's important. I want to get it all done. All right, here we go. Talk about the fantasy. Let's talk about the fantasy, because that's really great. You don't realize how much fantasy you're operating under until it's challenged with reality. You don't realize, I'll say that again. You don't realize how much fantasy you're operating under until it's challenged with reality and by reality. How do I know? How do you know when it's both? Or which one? Fantasy, you can change. Like fantasy, you control your fantasies. Your brain goes down the street, your mind goes down the street on whatever you want to be true. Reality does not shift for your will. That's how you know you are having a problem with reality and you're spending too much time in the wish zone. Can we call it the wish zone? The wish zone. I wish people would leave me alone. I wish I had less homework. I wish this test was easier. I wish they asked me my opinion and preference before telling me what to do. I wish I see. That's how you know you are stuck in fantasy land and you're mad with reality. And anybody tied to reality becomes public enemy number one with you. You don't want to see them coming. You start to resent the process. You start to resent the people. I'm not going to go to this because if I go one time, then they're going to ask me every time, and I just want to be left alone. Now you're mad that you're not included in the inner circle. You're mad that you don't get awards when awards are given out, but you do everything in your power to avoid reality of what it takes to be in the winner circle because you're over there in wishland, in the wish zone. I wish somebody would just see how hard I'm struggling and send me money. I wish, and you see, and that's how you know. That's a great question. That's how you know you are locked in fantasy and you are at odds with reality. You're mad with reality. You're mad with the people in your life who make you accountable to reality. Shut up. Be quiet. That's why I don't tell you anything. You aren't even my friend. I can't even stand you. And all the things that we say to people. And in the moment, we probably mean it. Who are making us live in reality when we want to live in the wish zone. That is probably the number one problem I have observed with people who want to break through, but they're really fantasizing about breakthrough. It's like people who wish that they weren't single, but you're a terrible friend. So you're going to be a terrible spouse. There's no reason for you to even have God put you with anybody because you're not good with your friends. Well, I'm going to be different if it's my man. I'd be different if it's my woman. No, you wouldn't. The same trashy habits that you have with these people will ultimately show up in that dynamic of a relationship. But when you live in the wish zone instead of reality, you see how my frozen smile, okay? That's what happens. Is you're mad all the time. You're just angry. And you blame the system. You blame the assignments. You blame the people. You blame this. You blame. And you know who you're not blaming? Bing, you. Your family is interrupting. The dog is interrupting. The traffic is too slow. The neighbor's music is too loud. And it's never you. This is huge. I'm telling you, this is huge. This is huge. This is huge. This is such a reason that so many people fail and are frustrated. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to see my comments here. And are frustrated because, sorry, wait a minute. I'm having a comment situation. Come on. Oh, maybe that'll help. Because they're wishing. I wish they leave me alone. I wish they understood I was struggling. I wish. Big one. Can you see I'm stuck on that? That's why I watched and still watch reality. Don't talk about that foolishness reality shows. I mean the ones where you are seeing the reality of what it takes to be the best. How about just to be good? To be the best. I watch behind the scenes, and I have a drama degree, so I watch behind the scenes of like every successful show that I can find. And the one single common denominator is how much work and effort it takes to be a number one show. I know people who have left shows, I don't know personally, but like in watching their stories, who have left shows, they've killed off their characters. I can't believe they killed so-and-so. That was my favorite person. You know why? Because they said, I don't want to put in this many hours. This is too much work. I had no idea I was going to have to be in every episode because all we see is the 60-minute, well, the 40 minutes because there's 20 minutes of commercials and we're like, we're done. But the days and days and days and days, hours and hours and hours. So plan, strategize, read books, watch videos, study successful people, and study their hardship, and study their sorrow, and study their agony, because you have got to study their agony to understand. If you want to be great, greatness is an agonizing process. It is not some easy street. No, not unless you're born into it generations down the line. And many times those parents will make those kids earn it. Yes, they will, from the ground up. But if you're not willing to go through the agony of greatness, just throw your hat in the, just throw the white flag in. Just throw it in now. Just throw it in now, because you're not going to make it. And somebody needs to tell you you're not going to make it if you don't shift, if you don't change, if you don't remove the idol of meism off of your heart, if you don't die. This is what dying to self means, is that you're dying to your imaginations. You're dying, you're letting them die. You're letting them die to, maybe, I don't know, embrace something better. Who knew? Who knew your idea for your life wasn't the best way? Then we have surrounding yourself with positive people. Scripture, guys, this is Proverbs. Surround yourself with like-minded people who can get you to where you're going, not like-minded people who are the complaining corner, the griping session with you. Yeah, I understand. Oh yeah, oh, that's just so terrible. I mean, who could even say, who could even, I know, this is so much homework. Wow, don't they even know this is a holiday weekend? Don't they even know that we've had projects? You are in school. You're being schooled. Because guess what? When you're outside of school, I was on vacation once, huge crisis broke out. Huge crisis. I had to hit that highway and zip on back. And so, because when you're in the office, life doesn't care, does it? The doctor, the patient, they have an emergency, doesn't care that the doctor is at their child's birthday party. They're like, I'm paying you to be here for me. We don't want to hear that these people even need a day off when we need them, do we? We sure don't, because we're still in the wish zone. All right. And then listen to your mentors. Guys, listen to the people who you are supposed to have submitted yourself to. Listen to their wisdom. Listen to their counsel. Let me see. I'm going to try and open this up this way. Maybe. Let me see. I'm going to try and open to see if I have any questions on my stream here. But listen to your mentors, because if you don't, you will regret it. You will regret it, because these are the people that have gone before you. They're the ones who have learned. They're the ones who have ideally gone through, so you don't have to. How about that? So you don't have to. I would love to pour wisdom into my mentees to where they don't have to make some of the same mistakes I did. They don't have to learn the hard way like I did. I mean, some things you're going to have to learn anyway, because you literally just can't remember everything that you hear. But no, time does not care. So does anybody have any questions for me? Post your question, because I'm done talking. This is a mentorship moment, not a novel, not a 6-part series at one time. You can go to ashleycministries.com. I have some downloads. I have some mentorship things there that you can enroll in. Like I said, I'm rolling out my executive attendant training program is what it's called. And this one is going to be an extensive one to raise you up to be successful in the things of God. Hey, if you want to give, go on and do that too. Might as well, right? Okay, she says she's learning. Any questions? I don't see any questions. I don't see any questions. Wow, you're an easy audience. Hold on, let me check over here. Easy crowd. It's important. Take notes. Go back, watch it later, take notes, and learn. Learn. Let's see. Oh, where'd it go? Nope. Okay. Alrighty. Well, since there are no questions, we're going to call it a day. I just wanted to pop in. It is a pop-up. So I have no idea when the next pop-up will be. I don't know what the next pop-up will be about. But just know that something will be popping. God bless you all. I pray this was beneficial to you. Take it to heart and share the wisdom. Have a great night.